Now, the Conference of the United Political Parties, which is an amalgam of opposition political parties in Nigeria, say they would not accept anything less than a wholesale adoption of the electronic transmission of results during the 2023 general election. Apparently, their position on the subject seems to clash with that of the Nigerian federal lawmakers, majority of whom believe that the deployment of the electronic approach should be dependent on the state of teledensity across the country. Well, the issue of e-transmission of results is not the only thing bothering the opposition party at the time regarding the state of nation. President Buhari's budget projections as laid before the National Assembly yesterday have also not gone down well with them. But for more on how they intend to influence a turnaround, we're now being joined by the spokesperson for the Conference of United Political Parties, Ikenga Ugochinyere. I want to say welcome to Newsday. Now, let's get it started.
Thank you so much.
Concerning how things are actually playing out at the moment. When we talk about parties, before we begin to look at APC or maybe even PDP or other parties, first of all, what's your take on 2023 and where should power go to?
Like we said at the State of the Nation broadcast, we felt that the discussion of the power shift issues, especially the counter statement by most of the APC people, is not necessary now because here we have a president that have been given power, and this is getting to 8 years, and they have not been able to deliver on any of the promises he has made. And I feel that before we talk about zoning, we need to talk about getting the foundations for the elections rights, which is the institutional requirements and the enabling laws, which I feel that the most important discussions that they should be having now is about the Electoral Act, which will be the foundational work tool with which the Electoral Commission can be able to conduct a free and fair election. These are the key issues. I think that if the environment is not right, if we don't have security, if we don't have a neutral security institution, if we don't have an independent Electoral Commission, if we have a kind of worked Electoral Act that does not make provisions for credible election, then those secondary conversations becomes useless. And that is why the focus of the opposition is to ensure that the institutional framework for the election, especially the Electoral Act, is gotten right.
All right, making sure that that institutional framework is gotten right. So let's go to the discussion about the e-transmission of results. What is the issue there? Is it not something that would make the elections a little bit more free and fair? What would you say about that?
I think the conversation that distracted Nigerians was the action of members of majority of the lawmakers from the APC who wanted to tinker with the earlier provisions in the proposed amendment that started during the time of Saraki. It's important for you to understand one clear thing here. We are in a modern day world. Use of technology has so much advanced. Now the Electoral Commission is saying that they are ready to transmit results electronically. It should be celebration for everybody. But you know, when that clause was smuggled to say that this is going to be conditional, and when you talk about big conditional, you're talking about INEC getting approval or conditional confirmation from the National Communication Commission, which is under the supervision of the Ministry of ICT. I said, and the opposition said this is wrong because if you look at the Constitution, the Independent National Electoral Commission is an independent institution that is empowered to conduct election without approval of its procedure from anybody. So when the lawmakers now want to insert inside the Electoral Act a provision that will require that an independent Electoral Commission like INEC will go to National Communication Commission to tell them whether they have the enabling infrastructure to transmit the result is very shocking. And you need to understand, this is something like sending a text message. INEC has test run this process in different states of the Federation since 2015. And why it is painful and hurting is that President Muhammad Buhari was able to win in 2015 because of the little application of technology. One had expected that being somebody that had been talking so much about electoral reform, that immediately he became president, the first thing he would have done was to give the country a credible electoral framework. That is why in 2019, when we came close to it, he refused to sign it. No problem. I understand he didn't want to sign it because he may not be able to win election. But now that you have won your second term, one had expected that the APC government, and especially their lawmaker, should make it a priority to ensure that those electoral frameworks are put in place. So we are asking that anything short of electronic transmission of results, we will not have confidence in that electoral process, especially when the Electoral Commission have said they are ready to transmit. Now, I don't know what capacity the lawmakers have now to now start doubting the capacity of the Electoral Commission to do their constitutional work.
All right, Ikenga, looking at the political landscape here in Nigeria, there are talks that a state of emergency is needed to bring some sort of calm to what is heating up heavily ahead of the governorship election in Anambra State. What's your take on that particular move, the state of emergency?
First of all, no reasonable person will support overthrow of democratic institutions, no matter under any guise. And like I said before, on what basis will you say because of the security challenges in Anambra that the only solution the commander-in-chief have is to rush and then declare a state of emergency and suspend democratic institutions? Are you going to appoint a military administrator? From which zone will he come from? Will the ministry administrator be in place for the conduct of the election, or will there be a sitting governor and then security people will take over the entire state? He's going to first of all raise suspicion about the credibility of the election. That is one, because it's going to be highly militarized. And we say that this idea of talking about even the mere mention of the word state of emergency over this issue, one will now say, okay, if this is the approach for you to now say, okay, because of the security challenges that you're having in Anambra, the best approach is state of emergency. I will not turn back and I say, with the security challenges we are having in almost 28 states of the country, what do we do with the president? So that's why I say that is not the best solution to this issue. Let's not start going towards the idea of suspending of democratic institutions because it may boomerang. The president, it is his constitutional responsibility under the Constitution to protect lives and property under Section 14. He should do his work. These things didn't start today. We saw when these things were starting. So we believe that the president, if he does not have the capacity to stop the situation in Anambra, then he should tell Nigeria. But saying that rushing to declare state of emergency, I think it's too early in the day to talk about state of emergency.
All right, Ikenga, thank you for that one. So let's move on the conversation to something a little bit more uniting. The discussion with the security situation in the nation is frightening, as we have all come to agreement with. But there is a larger discussion about how to pull us all together, how we can all unite on similar lines, bring us on common lines. The discussion for national unity is a big one. And as you are the spokesman for quite a large group, the Conference of United Political Parties, is there anything you have to say for those who are listening in order to support us coming together and trying to get this nation back on its feet, since separation is causing more harm than good?
Yeah, I think, like I always say, I think these things comes from the top. Body language and perception is very important. When the president was elected, one had expected that he would have pursued unity because unity is critical for national development. But like I said before, body language, when you make comments, when you take actions, when things are happening in different parts of the country and people are crying for justice and you refuse to address them, it will give them the perception or the feeling that either they are not wanted or you prefer a certain people above the others. Like I said before, the body language and the perception that was given at the beginning stage, caused this problem. That is why, and I said, at this particular point that things seems to be falling apart, that the president needs to a little bit shift ground. He needs to, when he carries out his duty, he should find a way to let Nigerians see in him the father of the nation, a commander-in-chief of all sections of the country, one who is desirous of unity in every part of the country. So whatever method you use for A is what you use for B, is what you use for C. But when you keep changing the rules in the middle of the game, people start to suspect whether you have a hidden agenda. And once they suspect that you have a hidden agenda, bringing people to have national consensus on issues becomes difficult. And like I said before also, in moving forward, in uniting everybody, it's important also that you look at, let's not just only be focusing on unity, let's also be focusing on finding solutions to the things that is making people, doubt their commitment to the republic, whether from the southwest, whether from the southeast, whether from the middle belt, whether from northwest. You can see that there are some things people are crying about. Those are the things that is dividing us. And since 6 years, the president has not made any sustainable effort to call these stakeholders together and find solutions, whether people who are asking for true federalism, whether people who are asking for separation, whether people who are asking for fiscal federalism, whether people who are asking that they can go to their farm without being killed, whether the people who are looking for a way to raise their cattle. I had expected that there should have been a national approach, a national decision to say, let's find a way to address these things that is dividing us. Because if you don't address them and you say you want to build unity, how can you build unity when people cannot sleep in the night with two eyes closed, when people feel that they are being marginalized or they are going to be slaughtered in their farm, or when people feel that they want physical federalism, and you see not, you must talk about this, and that's how nations develop. All these nations you see that have developed have talked about all these things that divide them, and they were able to find a common position. The president has not made any attempt for us to find a common position, and if we don't find a common position, then there cannot be unity.
Ikenga, very well said. Thank you so much for this discussion this afternoon.